You do say, eh? Oh.
I love that you can do that because you're British.
Tea is responsible for my marriage to Jenny.
Do you think we can grow tea in Canada?
May I interrupt?
Yeah.
While you are telling this,
Yes.
may I pour some tea?
It's called tassiography
Oh, really?
or tassiomancy.
I did not know it had a name.
Tassiomancy.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Helpful Gardeners podcast. Happy Mother's Day. You might be spending time with your mom out going for a walk, doing a brunch. You might be doing afternoon tea. I have seen, I don't know about you, Colin, but when I was looking up things like around Calgary, for example, that you can do around Mother's Day, afternoon tea came up a lot.
Yeah, Mum loved afternoon tea. I've got my mum's birthday. She loved it so much. Her birthday was May 8th. So it always fell around Mother's Day.
Yes.
So a couple of times it would fall on Mother's Day, and I think 2017, don't hold me to that exactly, we all went out to the Palliser downtown and had afternoon tea on a Sunday with Mum, and
That's next level there, hey?
Mum loved it.
Yeah.
She was very happy with her life choice that day.
Yes.
That was her birthday, Mother's Day gift.
I actually did take my mom out for afternoon tea in Banff at the Fairmont in Banff, and yeah, I can totally attest to how incredible it is. Like it's like the whole 9 yards, right? I have seen some incredible afternoon teas around Calgary. A lot of like bakeries will do it.
Mm-hmm.
There is a really great afternoon tea spot just south of Calgary in High River.
Okay, I wouldn't have thought that would be a spot for high tea,
right?
but we didn't do a lot of afternoon tea in England, right? That wasn't our level.
Okay.
But we did drink an awful lot of tea. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, what better? Tea, garden, treats.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
Is your favorite the tea or the treats? The experience?
Probably the treats, if I'm being honest, because tea was, again, being English, tea was just. You drank it for breakfast. You drank it at night. Tea was just a staple.
Right, yeah.
Treats weren't always a staple, right? So when there's like fancy scones and tarts and biscuits, that's where, yeah.
Oh, so cool. I mean, obviously,
and jaunty hats.
Well, I mean, optional for sure. But I mean, yeah, I do see people dressing up a lot to go out to afternoon tea. It's kind of like back in the day when you used to dress up to go to the airport. It was like an event. And now people just wear sweatpants.
Yeah.
So, I mean, afternoon tea carries that like nostalgia, class, elegance that you want to dress up for.
It's an occasion. It's an event.
It is, yes. And especially around Mother's Day. I mean, everything is starting to bloom. So a lot of the spring blooms are out.
You know, you can put something together yourself. It's not that hard. And you can do it in the garden, or if the weather isn't inclement, do it at home. And come on, who doesn't like an excuse to dress? I'm not a dress-up guy, but every once in a while you put on a suit, or you put on like some nice pants and a button-up shirt, and everything tucks in, and you're like, okay, this is okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm doing it for Mom.
I love what you said, though, is that you can do it from home.
Yep.
You know, you don't have to go out. And there are actually a lot of companies nowadays that have afternoon tea boxes to go. So you can pre-order in advance.
Yeah.
Very popular for Mother's Day. And you can take it out to a park or something like that,
there
right?
you go.
So if you're looking for like the experience of maybe not so much at the location, then you can always take away.
And look at some English artwork from 1800s, mid-1800s, and it's everybody dressed in their suits and their gowns in the park, and people are like, paddling on the lake, and they're having tea, and they're having the scones. That was, I mean, I can't say I know for sure. I'm looking at the artwork, but I know like pictures. I see pictures of my grandparents. And there's one, and you just laugh because how times have changed. And it was my grandpa on a beach in England, and this probably would have been, I want to say the 50s, 1950s.
Okay.
And he's on a beach, and he got so wild, he took off his socks and shoes and rolled his pants up like 3 times.
Oh, gasp.
Settle down.
Settle down, Granddad. That's awesome.
But on the beach, no word of a lie, middle of summer on the beach in wool suit pants and a shirt, and probably had a jacket and a hat.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, well, I suppose I can take my shoes off.
Times have changed for sure, right?
Exactly.
Actually, let's talk about that, sort of the origins of afternoon tea. Early Victorian era, so around kind of 1840s.
Okay.
I guess like I've been noticing one figure that keeps coming up by the name of...
May I interrupt?
Yeah.
And while you are telling this,
Yes.
may I pour some tea?
Yes. Oh, that's nice.
I would
Yes.
love to pour you some tea. Sorry, please keep going.
Oh, there you go. What tea do we have today, Colin?
Earl Grey.
Earl Grey
Classic.
tea.
And something exciting, and I'm not going to... and you know what? Spill the tea or the tea now has a new connotation.
Why didn't we start with that?
Exactly. So I'm not going to spill the tea, but this is done very traditionally. And I'll show you my cup in a second.
Yeah.
And we have loose leaves, and there is a reason for that, and we'll get to that at the end of the show. I hope that can
No,
be
it's
seen.
not.
Not at all.
There you go.
There's loose tea. Sorry, Brandy, please go on.
No, so there was like a figure that kept coming up in my research, Anna Maria Russell, the Duchess of Bedford.
Okay.
She said she had a sinking feeling kind of between lunch and dinner. And
Sugar
dinner,
crashing.
well, guess when dinner wasn't served? So when dinner was served?
7:30.
8 or 9. Like this doesn't. I have dinner at 5.
Yeah, like,
you know?
come on.
I would be hungry too.
Yeah.
So she began making a light meal of like tea, bread, butter, and cake, and that was around 4 p.m. when I normally have dinner. And then she started inviting people over to join her. She did this every day, and then it kind of became like a more social event, right?
Okay, so funny thing, segue on that.
Yeah.
So growing up in England, so a lot of times you hear in movies or you'll hear people talking, and when I was growing up at around 5 o'clock, 5:30, everybody would go in for tea time. Okay, but it wasn't tea.
Oh.
It was supper. It was our tea time. When we said it's tea time, come get your tea, you would sit down to like sausage and chips or spaghetti or whatever.
Okay, so supper is dinner. It's the same thing.
Yeah, supper,
Okay,
dinner.
got it.
But tea, we used to call it our tea.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, and that's obviously where it came from because the timeline.
Because of the timeline, yeah. Oh, interesting.
Sorry.
That's cool. No,
Yeah.
I didn't even realize. But you never ate at like 8 or 9 p.m.
So that was called bedtime supper. That was supper. So you had supper before bed, then you had your tea, then you had your lunch, and of course breakfast is
Why
breakfast.
do I now understand the Lord of the Rings reference when they had like 11sies
Yeah.
and...
So 11sies, my dad used to pack. So my dad would have his breakfast. He would
Yeah.
go out to work, and he would have his 11s.
Yeah.
Okay, so they would eat at 11. Then he would have his lunch, and then he would come home for tea. And you know what his 11s was?
What?
So Mum would always make him good lunch. He was a hardworking guy, you know, physical work. And his 11s were always jam sandwiches. And he loved them.
I
And,
love jam sandwiches too.
And he would have a thermos of tea and
Yeah,
jam
yeah.
sandwiches
Oh
for his
my-
11s.
You know what? I actually love that. That's actually, let's get into that sort of like the traditional afternoon tea setup because jam sandwiches is one of my favorite additions to afternoon tea.
Yeah.
I know that it's sort of like around, like you usually get scones with jam and clotted cream. That is always my favorite part. I kind of do it out of order a little bit, and
Yeah.
I'll like eat them first because I love them so much. But usually, you
By
know,
the way, shout out. I have this on good authority.
Yes.
The best scones and clotted cream in Calgary. Weekends, Calgary Tower.
oh really?
I have that on very good authority. Apparently, they are like the top-notch ones. I haven't had them personally,
Yeah.
but that is what I have heard.
They're and they're not vegan.
No.
No, regular. Okay.
But I've heard that, go up to Calgary Tower to eat, and it's not expensive, and you can have breakfast, and you get the best scones and clotted cream.
Cool. Oh, I love that.
Yep.
So you start with a selection of tea. So usually when you go to afternoon tea, you have like a really broad selection. Today we just have Earl Grey, but you can be getting things like English breakfast, herbal teas, Earl Grey, peppermint, chamomile,
good.
whatever. Oh, really?
I never think about herb tea I always think about like proper tea, like Earl Grey, English breakfast, Darjeeling.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think about herbal tea doesn't really suit tea time. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to always get it because peppermint tea was like my favorite.
Yeah, okay.
So
fair.
I would always get the peppermint tea, but I don't know. That might be a more North American thing.
Maybe,
You
yeah.
know, could be. And then you would have a 3-tiered stand. So today we have a 2-tiered
Yep.
stand. But typically on the bottom tier, you would have your savories. So you have like little sandwiches, cucumbers, and
Cucumber
cream
sandwiches,
cheese.
yep.
Love cucumber. But here's the thing. You have to cut the crusts off.
Oh, yeah. You got to
Yeah.
cut the crusts off, and then it's butter, cucumber, some salt, and then another.
So good. It's my favorite. You can also have egg salad, smoked
Yep.
salmon with dill, chicken, ham with mustard, that kind of thing.
They're all sandwiches cut into little squares.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
very
they're
dainty. Everything
very
is dainty.
Yes, very dainty. Middle tier is usually reserved for scones, served warm, accompanied by clotted cream and strawberry jam. And then the top tier is usually reserved for sweets. So you'll have your like eclairs, macarons, tarts. What do we have here today? We have Danish. We have a German chocolate brownie. We've got a chocolate tart.
And a lemon tart.
And a lemon tart. Ooh, I'm very excited.
I'm eyeballing them pretty hard.
In place of clotted cream, I brought whipped cream.
And I love it.
So you can have things like really, you can go and get the elevated experience, right? Or you can make some at home. We got these from like an Italian market.
Yeah. And that's,
you know?
and there's no, when you're doing it for, okay, you're taking out mom and you're going to the palace. It's going to be just so. They're going to be very traditional. So my cousin, his name's Dave, and he lives back in Newcastle.
Okay.
And there's an area of Newcastle he was born and raised in called Biker. And Biker is a bit of a harder region of Newcastle, let's
Okay.
say. And Dave has a very successful pub.
Okay.
And Dave started one, and he called it the Biker Tea Time. And it was tea mugs, and it was a 3-tier thing, but it was things like dino nuggets, Oreos. And the funny thing is, so Dave's pub is in Gosforth, which is a more affluent area of Newcastle. And somebody called him out on it.
Oh.
And they were like, oh, you're from Gosforth and you're making fun of people from Biker. And how dare you look down on them? Couldn't have been because Dave was born and raised in Biker. And Dave's like, what are you talking about? This is what I grew up in. And this is a shout out to my heritage.
Yeah.
Anyway, the story got quite popular because of Dave and the way he stood up for himself and his roots. And his Biker tea became very popular.
See, and yeah, you can be traditional or you can be not traditional. It can
Exactly.
be whatever you like as long as you're enjoying the experience,
Yep.
right? I mean, the tea set that we're using today came from a family member of mine and came with like these little matching teacups. And usually they're saucers, so we're not even doing this 100% authentic. There's even, when you talk about the place settings, using silver or stainless steel cutlery, having napkins, a sugar bowl, milk jug, and lemon dish. So there's like little bits and pieces, but it can honestly be whatever you want it to be, right?
Yep.
What do we have today? We should just try something.
I'm in. Okay.
Okay.
That's what I've been waiting for. So we need our fancy napkins.
We have our fancy napkins.
So in lieu of plates, because we're outside, we're going to eat very daintily on our napkins.
Exactly.
and microphone. I'm
Okay, I'm going straight for...
going lemon tart all the way, yo.
I need to save that. That one looks amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the chocolate tart.
Okay, and I need some clotted cream on mine.
There's already clotted cream on yours.
I need more clotted cream on mine.
Actually, I'm gonna leave the chocolate
Okay,
tart
well,
there.
it's more classy if I do that than.
Yes, I'm actually gonna take a scone too.
Oh.
And I'm gonna load it.
la-di-da.
I'm gonna load it with clotted cream.
Nice. I love that we're calling it clotted.
Imagination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have kids involved.
Yes.
You don't have to have tea. You can give them a little tea mug and you can pour orange juice in it. You
Yeah.
can pour whatever you want. I remember as a kid, I didn't want the sandwiches. I wanted all of the sweet treats.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like we never had like high tea. But a couple of times I believe like we did something akin to it.
Yeah.
Don't put the sandwiches in my face. Give me the scones. Give me the tarts. Give me the good stuff.
Isn't that funny though? How traditionally you're supposed to start from the bottom and work your way all the way up. But like immediately I would always think to start from the top and then work your way down. But it kind of
Immediately,
keeps
I'm
the
angry that the top layer, which inherently is the smallest layer, gets the treats on it.
But
Right.
maybe it keeps the aesthetic going, right? You kind of clear out, but it's still like you're leaving a little flower at the top.
Okay, good. You know what? I never thought of that. I bet you that's what it's for. I bet you it's more an aesthetic thing. So when you look, it's still it still tempts you. You still want to reach in rather than go to the lower level.
Yeah, because right now I can't even see really on the bottom tier what's going on. Have you ever been able to get through an entire afternoon tea?
Only the time with my mom, and we had a bench. So, God love this with the palaces. So there was 5 of us, and one of them was Harry, And I can't remember what he wanted, one of the sandwiches, I'm sure, and he was scarfing it down. Harry loves his salty snacks, right?
Okay.
He's more of a salt tooth than a sweet tooth. I don't know if salt tooth is a term. I literally just said that, and I was like, I don't believe I've ever heard that before.
Today it is a thing.
So at the palace, they noticed our thing.
Yeah.
And they came and they took it and dropped a fresh one down on the table.
Oh.
Yeah, la-di-da. Now, I'm sure we paid for it. But that's fine. But they were like, oh, because it's all picked over and, maybe a scone left sandwich at the bottom kind of thing. Plus, it's also marketing for them. If other people are coming in, you want that full thing. You don't want it picked over. And I remember the guy came over and he picked it up by its little fancy ring, moved it off, and put another one down.
Wow.
And it was very good.
I've never actually been able to get through one.
Huh?
And I think that's also kind of a testament to how you're supposed to work it. You start with the savory and then you end with the sweets. And I always end up taking home the sweets because it ends up being too much food. Like, I don't think we're going to get through this. We're going to have to get our friend Tiana to finish a lot of these snacks off.
Well,
because
here's the other thing, too. And I know everybody has different tastes.
Yeah.
Savory doesn't go good with, like, hot drinks. Like, maybe breakfast and coffee, maybe.
Yeah. There is also a specific way to hold your teacup. So I always thought that you were supposed to put your whole finger in it and then hold it, or like you would like a mug.
Fit in it.
Yeah, so you're actually supposed to hold it between your index finger and thumb, which scares me.
And pinky out.
Yeah. And then, I can't.
It's like a natural. Yeah. Okay, and
it doesn't seem enjoyable.
You're not meant to bring your head to the cup.
Oh, see, there we go. Round of applause.
Yeah, you have to bring it.
Yes.
It's like when you're eating soup, okay? You don't put your head to the soup. You bring the soup to your head.
I've been eating soup all wrong.
See, that's the thing, is that it's all of these rules that people have.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. When I'm at home, if I'm at home having soup, I'm not thinking about rules. So if I didn't hold that cup like that to do it properly and I went to take a drink, that's how I would hold it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I'm holding this mug.
Can we talk about the timeline a little bit? Because when we think about when afternoon tea started, late 1800s, and then it became popular.
I'm just doing it to show off.
Well, yeah, you're really good at it. Got good grip strength there. But yeah, when it became popular, it almost seems like you need to make rules around it, because then it's like, this is the proper way to do afternoon tea. But then it kind of goes throughout the years, and then people are like, whatever, and then afternoon tea like kind of drops off, or culture changes or whatever. And nowadays we have a completely different way of doing it.
I also think that's a shout out. Now I'm having a Danish.
Yeah.
I also think that's a shout out to the British and their inherent ability to put rules on everything. So here's one. We'll talk North American. I think everybody has heard the expression for baseball, the seventh inning stretch. Okay? So I think it's the middle of the seventh inning, maybe the beginning I don't know baseball, but everybody stops and stretches or something. I don't. Okay, so we'll move on. But that is an expression. Don't actually know what they do, but it's an expression. So baseball essentially is North American cricket, okay? And like football is North American rugby. Okay, like you can see where you can see the origins of these sports. The origin story. Yeah, exactly. So in cricket games can go like a long time, a very long time. Official cricket rules, they can go a very long time. So at some point during the game, they actually stop and they bring out tea and cakes for the players.
That's so nice. I wish, can they do that at my slow pitch games? Like, that sounds lovely.
I cannot think of a sport. Like, could you imagine you're playing hockey and they're like, third inning tea and cakes. Or third quarter, no, period.
Sports.
Yay, local sports franchise. Third period. Okay, whatever. You got my point. Anyway, I don't see them having tea and cakes during a NHL playoff.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. So an NHL? Oh, right, hockey.
Yeah. I had to pause too, because I was like, I think.
What am I saying? Okay, where do you think is the biggest the biggest producer of tea?
India or China?
Oh, yeah. That's exactly it. So China is the largest producer overall of tea. Have you ever heard of the tea belt? So the tea belt is countries along this tropical and subtropical zone. And it includes China, India, Sri Lanka, Kenya, Japan, Vietnam, Indonesia, Taiwan, and even parts of like Argentina and Turkey.
Really?
There's a lot of places, hey? Just like with coffee, right? Or I'm trying to think of something else. But where it's grown, the climate, the type of soil that it's in.
It's like the grapes in wine or champagne
yes, exactly.
or something.
Great example. That all dictates what it's going to taste like. So I have actually tried like Chinese tea, and I definitely noticed a difference compared to other types of tea that I've tried. And not only that, there are places even in Canada that are experimenting with greenhouse growing for tea. And I'm interested to see what that's going to taste like.
I feel like that one will lose some of the body and character because, again, when you're in a tea belt, there's a reason why you can go to a vineyard in France or Italy, and it's been there for 700 years, and they grow a certain type of grape and they make a certain type of wine. But they go, oh, no, you want the 1987 or the 1994 because the rain or the winter or the frost or whatever condition was optimum and it nailed the sugars or the extended growing season. You can tell very clearly I'm not into that aspect of it.
This is why it's an industry.
Exactly.
It's so complex.
Where I feel if you do it in a greenhouse, you will probably make an excellent cup of tea.
Yeah.
But I feel like you'll be missing something.
Yeah, I completely agree too. I mean, I even found when I was in Mexico, I found that potatoes tasted different than they do here.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I tried like a hash brown patty for breakfast, fries, that kind of thing, and I just noticed it just tasted like just a little bit different. So I completely agree with you. I'm kind of curious now to be like, they should have like tea flights, and then you can actually physically taste the difference between the different kinds of tea depending on where it's grown.
That would be interesting to do, like, say, we're having Earl Grey. To do an Earl Grey and do an Earl Grey from China, Sri Lanka, Turkey, and Brazil.
100%.
Something like that. Like, tie it all in and be like, which is your favorite?
Yes.
Because you might be like, I find this one earthier, or this one's got that the hint of sweetness, or whatever. Because that's the thing I like about Earl Grey. My favorite thing about Earl Grey, it's got almost like that gentle sweetness to it. I'm pouring another cup.
Yes. You mentioned Brazil there, and we have our dear friend.
You said Argentina, not Brazil.
No, but you did say Brazil,
I did
and I'm
say
like,
Brazil.
ooh, good segue. We have a friend here at Golden Acre, Eduardo, who comes from Brazil, and he was like, oh, I think there's like tea in Brazil. And I was like, what? I mean, I guess so, because I mean, of the climate, that kind of thing. But I didn't really understand. So we were going into it a little bit, and apparently there is a more 19th century connection between tea and Brazil that I didn't even know about. Like, you usually think about tea being like China, England, that kind of thing. But
when I think of tea, I think England, China, India.
Yeah.
Those are the three countries because of production, Commonwealth, blah, 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 whatever it might be. But that's it. That's where it comes from.
100%.
Brazil,
never thought about Brazil.
Yeah. The only reason I said Brazil is I was actually thinking Argentina, and I only said it because you literally brought it up.
And I'm going to refer to my notes too, because it's quite a story. So I guess in the early 19th century, Don Juan Hector. How the sixth of Portugal tried to establish tea cultivation in Brazil to try to reduce the dependency on Chinese tea. I guess it can be really expensive and time consuming to ship in, right? So actually Chinese laborers were brought in to help teach cultivation techniques around Rio de Janeiro. And Brazil's early tea industry, it never really took off due to competition from coffee, which comes primarily from South America. Just due to lack of expertise, limited consumer interest at the time. In the 20th century, large numbers of Japanese immigrants settled in Brazil, especially in Sao Paulo state. With them, the tradition of green tea drinking and farming led to localized tea production, especially of Japanese-style green tea. And today there are some small-scale production of green tea in Brazil, mainly for the domestic Japanese Brazilian community. It's not a major player in the tea production, as we mentioned earlier, but there is interest in herbal and specialty teas around the region.
Well, and I mean, that makes sense. Like, we were talking to Eduardo and Lucas.
Yeah.
And what they could grow in Brazil, just generally.
Yeah.
I always joke around when, Lucas is in houseplants. Lucas doesn't call these houseplants, he calls them plants.
Yes.
Right? Because, Monsteras used to grow in his backyard.
Yep. Do you think we can grow tea in Canada? Outside?
I mean, I would have to say yes.
Yeah.
I would. I don't know,
seems
but
unlikely compared to India or China.
It does. I don't think we could have the same level of industry.
Yeah.
But when I think about interior BC and definitely coastal,
Yep.
A lot of rolling hills, fertile ground, high humidity.
Yes.
I would feel that absolutely you would be able to grow some tea there. I don't think you could have these plantations, these acres and acres like they have in, the countries in the tea belt. But I would not be surprised to learn that there were a couple of tree farms in British Columbia.
Absolutely, there can be. I know there was an experimental farm out in Vancouver Island.
Of course, the island.
Yeah,
yep.
called West Home Tea Farm, the first commercial tea grower in Canada, which is really cool. So you had it bang on there, West Coast. Others experimenting in Nova Scotia as well. So East Coast.
Okay,
I know, but that's in greenhouses. That's in greenhouses.
That's the greenhouses.
Yeah. So
like how I pointed with my finger.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the greenhouses. You do say, eh? Oh.
I love that you can do that because you're British. I can't do that.
Yeah, I've got my license to make fun of the British accent.
I'm glad I got you to do this because I know afternoon tea is not really your jam.
You know what? If there was jam sandwiches, it would be my jam. I gotta say, the last time I did this was with Mum, Vicky, Jenny, and Harry, and we had a great time.
Yeah.
And I've got some pictures of it. And whatnot, and other than that group, there's nobody else I would rather sit and have tea with than you.
Yes. Ditto. Sorry, I was like, wait, I didn't even give that back to you. Let's talk about growing plants in other parts of Canada. How can we do it? So, I'm not sure if you've ever seen this in the houseplant department, but we do carry tea plants.
Yep.
Which is cool.
I've never bought one. I've done coffee. You know what? I've never bought the tea ones.
Yeah, we have coffee plants too. That's right. Obviously, if you were to grow them outside, they would not do well here in southern Alberta. However, you can grow them inside, and it's always recommended to start with seedlings or established plants. Obviously, seeds can take months to germinate, years to mature. What was it? We had a vanilla orchid, and they were like, "Don't expect anything for 7 years." It's gonna take a while to get anything from it. Things are just gonna grow slower here. We don't have the humidity nor the temperature. It's just not gonna happen.
Yep. Way too hot, way too bright.
Yes.
All the things that it doesn't want.
Yeah. So start with something a little bit more established. If you're growing inside, grow in pots indoor near a sunny window or in a heated greenhouse. Maintain temps between 15 to 30 centimeters Celsius. Protect from frost always. I know in the wintertime, especially here, when we're reaching those temperatures of minus 30, you can get cold drafts in. You can get things will dry out from the heat vents. And so our houseplants go through a lot, don't they?
That's why a lot of people, they blame themselves.
Yeah.
It's hard to grow.
It's hard to grow.
That's why we have our tried and true. That's why we go to pothos, snake plant, spider plant.
Yeah. Yep. And also tea plants love high humidity, which can also be really difficult in the drier climates. So having a humidifier and again, watching out for those vents not drying things out can be really helpful. Obviously, if we're growing outdoors, then there's only really few areas in Canada where you can do that. Southern BC being one of them. As we mentioned, that tea farm down on Vancouver Island. So if you're thinking about growing outside, move to Vancouver Island. Sorry, not Vancouver. Here's the kicker. Plants take 3 to 5 years to mature. And then you can start harvesting the top 2 to 3 leaves and a bud in spring and summer. Dry and process the leaves for green, black, or oolong tea. But it seems like a lot. I mean, the plants that we've gotten in the houseplant department are little. So
And it seems like it seems like you're taking a very little amount off of a plant.
Yeah.
And when you think about how many cups of tea I've seen people drink in England.
Yeah.
Kettle's always on. The pot's always full.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, hey, you can take 3 leaves.
Right? A 5-year commitment. I mean, it's the same with grapes, though, right?
Yep.
You hear a lot of the vineyards out west in BC. They have to sit on their investment for like 5 years before they can see anything.
One bad, it's too rainy. They got was it last year or 2 years ago when they got that really late frost in the valley and it nipped all the buds on the peach trees?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The fires.
The fire,
gosh.
So you've got so many other factors that you have to deal with, but it's crazy when you think about how much tea in some form is drank around the world.
Yeah, honestly, learning about that has given me a much deeper appreciation for tea, because a lot of the times I'll take it for granted and not even finish a cup. And just thinking, oh my gosh, all of the work, production, time, everything that went into making that one tea bag.
If you're going to make a proper cup of tea, it takes more work here.
Yeah.
It's not a coffee.
No.
It's not a coffee. You don't just, put your thing. Have you ever had, it hurts to say, have you ever had tea out of a Keurig?
No, but I'm assuming it's powdered.
I've never had tea out of a Keurig. I had a drink that they called tea. It said tea on it. Whatever I was drinking, though, was not identifiable as tea.
No.
It was...
Oh, no.
There's something about tea where you have to boil. If you get into it, you meant to warm the teapot.
Yeah.
Okay, the teapot you shouldn't be pouring the boiling water in cold. The water has to be boiling, not just boiled. Like, when I go to make tea and somebody's like, yeah, go ahead, and I go to boil the kettle, they're like, it just boiled 2 minutes ago. I'm like, yeah, that was 2 minutes ago. And I'm standing there, and I've got my cup, and the kettle's there, and I'm doing it, and it's going, and then it goes, click, and I do it. My favorite are the ones that you put on the stove that scream at you.
Oh my gosh,
those
are so cool.
And then you lift it straight off and pour it straight into the teapot or into your cup. Forget about it. The best.
That was a great sound effect. That was so accurate.
But tea requires a bit more effort than say the coffee, where I love my Keurig. I put my cup under it, I hit the button, I do, all the things I got to do. I come back, take my cup out, hey, presto.
Yeah.
Tea requires that effort. So when I make a cup of tea, I don't forget about it. I'm going to segue totally off here, and I'd mentioned this to you before the podcast, but tea is responsible for my marriage to Jenny.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's talk about this. You brought something special today.
I did. Since you told me what we were doing, I didn't know the full subject. And this setup is, everything's colorful, and we got berries and leaves and flowers, and we got cakes on our napkins.
Oh my.
But let me show you my classy teapot from home.
Wow. Oh, it's so cute.
The lid
it looks
doesn't
like a
even
bubble.
match.
Oh yeah, it doesn't.
It's the right. So, years and years and years ago, I knew who Jenny was, but I didn't know her. Okay, and we're hanging out with some mutual friends. And Jenny was talking to some guy, and this guy, he was Canadian, but one of those Canadians who was very British. Like, he'd been raised and educated in India. He'd worked for the British government in England.
Wow.
Very English bent.
Yeah.
Anywho, the two of them are talking, and I feel like I'm shaming Jenny here, and I'm not, because it's part of the story.
Yeah.
And Jenny was talking to him about making tea, and I'm not talking to anybody. I was just kind of sitting. You know how that happens at you're at a party and at some point you're not talking to anybody. You're just kind of chilling and taking in the room. So right there, Jenny's talking to this guy. And I didn't know either of them well enough to really join in the conversation. And Jenny said, I don't remember it verbatim because I was too shocked to register it. But her words were something along the lines of, I make my tea in the microwave.
Oh, no.
As she said that, she happened to look over at me, and she said I was looking at her like...
Just total looked just like
no
shock.
poke. Not my conversation at all.
Enough to draw your attention, though.
And I was just like, what? People do that? So anyway, the next day, I went out and I was at London Drugs and I saw a teapot. And I bought it and I didn't check for the lid. But I bought it and I put it in my car. And then I think it was like a couple of weeks later, because like I said, we didn't really travel much in the same circles. Mm-hmm. We ran into each other again. And I was like, I have a gift for you.
Oh, my gosh.
And Jenny was like, what's that? And I ran out to the car, and she burst out laughing. And I was like, please, 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 just make a proper cup of tea, please, for me, for my sake. Anyway, she did, and she messaged me. Mm-hmm. And the rest is history.
Are you serious?
And that's the teapot that started it all, and that's still the teapot. We have got all kinds of fancy dishes and china and everything else. This is still our teapot to this day.
The London Drug Special.
Yep. With a non-matching lid.
I love that she kept it, though. Like, that was literally your origin story for your relationship. Yep. But it was around tea.
And it was just the fact that she said that. And I didn't realize my face. Because, I mean, one, I probably shouldn't be listening in on somebody's conversation. But they were talking about tea in my defense.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about like fate and fortune telling and you know the ways of the universe, because one of the cool things well, I mean, Harry Potter taught me, but
you know what, for a non-scripted episode, I'm just going to say this: we are segueing beautifully, because I got nothing.
No, we're doing great. We're going to enter the mind of divination. Ooh, Harry Potter reference.
Oh, was that how? Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. We're going to be reading tea leaves. So here's another cool thing that you can be doing with tea, and that they used to do quite a bit, I think still do quite a bit, is reading tea leaves. It's called tasseography.
Oh, really?
Or tasseomancy? Tasseosity.
I did not know it had a name.
Tasseomancy.
Okay. The best part is that we're caffeinated and sugar rushing. Doesn't like it, maybe.
Yeah. So it's essentially a form of fortune telling that interprets patterns left by tea leaves in your cup.
Okay.
So, why do we do this? So a lot of people do this to seek guidance or insight. So they'll seek answers about their future, relationships, careers, personal growth. In some cultures, it's a meaningful ritual passed down through generations in social settings. The practice can also serve as a meditative tool, kind of getting in touch with their own thoughts and situations. Some people think it's fun, and that's exactly why we're going to do it today. And that is perfect because we have the tea leaves in our cup.
We have the tea leaves.
Oh my gosh, Brandy.
Yeah, we're careful with Mrs. Potts
family.
there.
So how do we do it? Okay, so we use loose leaf tea, which we did.
Yep.
And then we have to steep it in a light colored or white cup.
We did.
Typically no pattern on the inside, which we did.
Yeah, it's got a little pattern at the top, but yeah.
That's fine.
That's fine.
And then we drink the tea.
We did.
Which we did.
We're nailing this.
We're doing great so far. And then we leave a small amount of liquid and the leaves at the bottom.
I drank all my liquid.
Okay, you're going to have to put a little... I think you put a little bit... these teacups might be a little bit too small. You might need a bigger teacup for it. And then you read the leaves. The reader looks at the shapes and patterns left behind in the bottom of your cup and then interprets the symbolism. So placement also matters, kind of like your lines on your hand.
Okay.
So like,
is there an up or down? Like is the handle down? Is the handle up?
No, that doesn't matter.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, just like this.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter, like, you know.
Yep.
So the near the rim, present or near future, middle, medium term future, and then bottom of the cup is distant or underlying forces, which is why if you saw Harry Potter, then they were like, oh, you got the grim, and he's like death is in your future, right?
Oh my God, poor Harry. So he works out okay for him though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Spoiler alert. There's no fixed meaning for every symbol. Interpretation, it's like a total personal journey. So I kind of went online and looked up something for us because we need. I am by no means an expert in divination, but you can have things
You're
like
a wizard, Brandy.
an acorn, an anchor, an angel, ants, an apple.
Can they be mixed? Because right now I'm like mine looks like a acorn with ants around it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think so. And hold on, let me see.
Or is that more of an apple?
I don't even know. Okay, wait. What do you have at the top of your cup?
So
Can you see anything?
I've got like 1 point comes up to like a peak.
Okay.
But there's not a whole lot happening at the top.
You know what I just realized? I printed off symbols, but it's alphabetical and it only covers A and B.
So if we don't look like an acorn or a bumblebee, well,
So if you tell me rope, I have nothing for
mine
you.
looks like a dog. You're like, no, it doesn't. No.
But the cool thing is that you can go online and there are so many symbols that you can look up.
Can we make stuff up?
We can.
Can I read your leaves?
Sure.
Okay.
Wait, I still have like lots of liquid. Hold on.
Oh. Tea is a natural fertilizer too. It is excellent. Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, you got a lot going on
I
at
got a
the
lot
top
going on.
here.
I'm complicated.
Okay, so at the top, it looks like a seahorse.
Okay, it has to be an A or a B word. Does it look like a bat? Or a bird?
Okay, yeah, it could be a bat.
Or a bird?
It could be a bat. It looks like a bat.
Okay. At the top.
At the top.
So remember, the top is the present or near future. So a bat is undertakings will be fruitless. Wonderful.
Okay, no, that's
Isn't
good.
that
That means just don't undertake anything.
Okay, great.
Yeah, see?
Be lazy.
Life hack.
Got it.
In the middle, it looks like a mustache. So a beard.
Oh.
That begins with
Ooh.
a B. A beard.
Darn, what about a broom?
It looks like a croissant.
Branch of a tree?
Yeah, sure. Tree
Okay,
branch.
good health. Great.
Okay. I like that. You like
I'm picking,
literally feet.
I'm picking the positive ones now.
And then at the bottom, let me just give this a swirl here. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say it kind of looks like ants.
Ants.
Yeah.
Evil omen. Impending difficulties.
Uh-oh. I take it back. What I meant was happy ants.
So happy ants. So there's like, for example, if you have an apple, that could be gained in business or long life. An arrow, a letter from the direction to which the arrow points. If cloudy, bad news. A basket, addition to the family. Beasts, wild beasts foretell misfortunes. A boat, a friend will come to visit. A bouquet, most lucky.
That's what mine looks like.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Stuff
Yeah,
going
you don't
on
got
there.
a lot going on the rims, eh?
I got nothing going on at the top or the middle.
I feel like, I don't know, towards the top and middle, it kind of looks like a boat.
Okay, I'll take boat.
So a friend will come to visit.
Okay, nice.
But then at the bottom, see, because that's the thing, like you can kind of
At the
twirl
bottom,
around.
it looks like a bus. A friend is going to leave.
It's not a butterfly, a bull.
I love that we're still forcing it to be an A or a B.
I know. Well, I don't know what else
It's not
to
like
do.
we could just Google it.
Oh yeah, I have my phone. Oh well. No. This is your homework. Is
Yeah.
to try read a tea reading on your own.
You know what? There were people back in England. They would have tea parties,
Yeah.
and they would invite like a local divinator or
Yeah.
gypsy or soothsayer. And when they were all done, they would go in with their teacups and they would get their readings.
Oh, cool.
Legit, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That is going to be your homework. Do a tea reading and then drop down below what you found in your teacup. Very curious to find out. And that does wrap us up for this week's episode. So I hope that you had as much fun as we did. Again, happy Mother's Day.
Happy and let me just shout out here.
Yeah.
Mother's Day is always popular in the garden center.
Yes, it
People
really
come
is.
in and if you're really stuck, we grabbed a couple of things that are always popular.
Mm-hmm.
We just got fresh ones in. Roses.
Roses.
Roses. We have a ton of different varieties. roses, gift cards. I always used to get Mum for a birthday and Mother's Day a Golden Acre gift card, and she loved it because she got to buy the flowers she wanted, and then part of it was I would do the work for her.
Yeah.
And she would sit drinking her tea, and I would be out in the garden. So win-win.
Yeah, I love that. I always get my mom a Golden Acre gift card too.
It's the best.
It's great because you're giving like flowers, but you're also giving an experience. You're going to go out and shop with her and take her around and spend some time,
so
right?
Vicky would normally shop with Mum, and then I would do the planting.
There you go.
Yep.
A+ siblings. But also try out your own afternoon tea at home. It's really easy to put together.
Yeah.
Just go to your local bakery and grab some goods and find a fancy plate and break out the china that you never use and all of the good things. But yeah, we'll catch you next week for more garden fun.
Bye, everyone.